Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and I'm going to talk real slow and see how long he can hold that. Once again, holding up the world or holding up the show. I'm not sure which it is. Hello, Ahmed. How are you?
I'm doing great, Sybil. Thank you so much for coming to me first. I appreciate you. I try to time that out just right.
I
Every week, try to time that out.
I know, but I love the fact that you do it, and it brings such joy to me.
Open curtain.
And we don't see this, none of that. You keep it strong. You keep it
We try to
strong.
hold it.
That's right. That's right. Cameron Riley, how are you?
Doing very well, Sybil Wilkes. How you doing, man?
Hey, Cameron, I'm doing excellent. How you doing in Chicago? Chicago doing all right?
Oh yeah, Chicago's doing all right.
Got some rain down
Summertime's starting to wrap up a little bit. Students are going back to school. It's finna get
Oh
real busy
my.
pretty soon, but we got it.
Good.
Kids are going back, and guess what? We have to report in Fort Worth, Texas today.
That's good.
It did not get to 100.
It's still too hot for me.
But isn't it weird? Sybil, it's weird because I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know what the like. I'm like, okay, it's getting cooler. It's 89.
No, can't relate.
It's like I'm looking at like, how do you dress today?
Right,
cool
right. I need a
outside, it's 80.
jacket. Yeah.
It's like I don't know. I'm like I should be getting ready to get into some springtime or some fall time weather, and I'm not getting there. But my body is telling me it should be cooler outside. I'm like, but it's 89. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. And we don't know. All we know is that this was a 1-day reprieve because tomorrow
Back to it.
It's back up there. Yeah.
Whew. I'm very interested. I'm very interested to see what happens in September and October. I'm guessing this is going to continue on somehow, but we're probably going to have some 80-degree days in October, which is going to be very trippy. We have multiple ones like Halloween. It's like, don't even put on your costume, kids.
Yeah, right. You just don't sweat through it, right?
You can't breathe through your mask. I'm there.
And Cameron, I don't know if you remember when you came to Dallas last year. It was in October for the HBCU Classic football game, and it was hot.
Oh, very much so. And that was my first time in Dallas. I was looking forward to experiencing Texas. I didn't want to experience the heat that closely. I could feel the singe, singe upon the skin.
Yeah, welcome to
Dallas
Texas.
Heat is different. Texas heat is different. It's like being in a skillet.
Well, it is. It's not the humidity that Houston has, but it's pretty intense. And I was out in it today. Actually, I had the window down, had my arm out it was like, oh, this is nice. So
yeah. Okay, that's another thing. Trying to drive around with your window open when it's hot outside, you don't feel good at all. It's like, close the window, AC up, let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't do it.
The AC wasn't blasting all the way up to 5, and it's like, okay, I can deal with this.
Do you do AC and window?
Yeah.
You do ACN with open window and AC?
I did today because I wasn't sure how nice it was outside because I looked and it was like, and the thermostat said like 93, 94. And I was like, okay. So I rolled the window down, put my arm out. And I was like, okay, could still use a little bit of air. But that was only because I'd been, that's another one of my stories. I had been to my old car to clean it out because it was declared a loss by the insurance company this week. I know. And it really affected me, Cameron. I'm not one who holds on to things. A car is a good vehicle for getting.
What happened to your car?
Yeah.
I had an accident that did not happen, that did not involve anyone else but me. And
what did you do? What happened? I don't know.
It was another show. So I was making a turn onto a street, and there was a steel box that was like in the middle of the road, and this was when the wind was blowing, and it moved towards me, and I tried to avoid it, and I went to the left, and I hit a curb in the median, and this box came and the wind kept coming, and the box hit my front tire, and I could feel it, and then it went to the back tire, and it took out my back tire.
It tore up your whole side?
Well, and the two tires, I thought that's all I needed.
Right.
But when I hit the curb, something else jostled in the car, and so they
Got it.
had to repair that.
Yeah.
And I've been going back and forth with parts and insurance companies and what aftermarket and all this kind of stuff. And finally they called and said, "We're just calling it a loss." I was like,
Oh,
"What?"
What year's your car? How long you had it?
2019, and
Okay.
it's a hybrid, and I love this car. I really do. I was like, "Goodbye, old friend."
you bonded with it. Yeah, you all bonded.
We really were.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the guy that sold me the car because he got an email that this was going down. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I didn't think so, but I will be." I was very emotional. And
Did you name your car?
no, my first car ever I named Alfie. But other than that, I never gave my car a name.
Yeah.
Did you have names for your cars, guys?
Yeah, my first car was gifted to me by a former friend of a friend of my mother's. I named her Mila. She was a '98 Ford Taurus.
Oh,
Didn't drive very well at all in the winter. Sat a little too low, but got me where it is that I needed to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Not my first car. Not my first car, but I'm very partial to Durangos, Dodge Durango. So my first Dodge Durango was just called the Go. It was just the Go, and everybody called it the Go. And so I've been riding Durangos ever since. So they're all just different interpretations of the Go.
The Go.
We are at the Go 3 right now.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Go 3.
Yeah, I don't have a name. I don't know what I am kind of taking my time and decide where I'm going to go from here. But we'll see.
Gonna go EV.
I was saying it was I was out and I was pulling the stuff out of the car, and it was hot, but it wasn't hot.
Yes.
And so that's when I said, well, I'm a little warm, so I turned on the air conditioning. Didn't have to turn it on big, and then had my arm out. So it was cool. It was cool. It was like, but it was one of those days, So
yeah, man, one of them days to go cut the grass because my HOA be getting mad at me. I'm like, look, it's too hot. It's gonna grow. It's gonna grow.
Yeah.
I'll get to it when I get to it. But we're not gonna do it.
Yeah, I hear you. That HOA, those people are.
Yeah. You can get mad all you want, but when it cools off, I'll go out there and cut this grass.
And did we tell you about that bush? Yes.
Not today. 100 degrees outside. Then it rains another day. We're gonna wait.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. And your grass is looking very brown. Are you watering it? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Don't even worry about that. None of your business.
Exactly. All right. So enough about me. Let's talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter. We'd love to have you subscribe. It's absolutely free. And we super serve the African American community with the stories that we do. Young Khameron is our political contributor. His little sister is Quinn Townsend Riley, and she is our LGBTQ contributor, as well as mental health and wellness with Aprilette Russell, and Coy Malone is our social justice contributor. These are, and you'll see their articles throughout the week in the What You Need to Know newsletter. And as I said, if you go to SybilWilkes.com, give us your name and your email address. We'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning, first thing. And when you get it, please open it. If you are having a problem getting your subscription, if you subscribe, we thank you very much. If you are not receiving it or you think you're not, please check your spam or your junk folder and check that out, because even for me, it has gone to one of those folders, and you just you can just make a correction on your email saying, this is not spam, this is really important stuff. And that'll make the correction. If you are really not getting your emails, then please get in touch with us at SybilWilkes.com, and we have wonderful people who will put you on the right track to receiving the What You Need to Know newsletter. That's what you need to know right now. But Khameron is going to tell us what we need to know about Chicago and a new top cop, as they like to say.
Yeah, the seat's been sitting vacant for a while. The former official in the position quit after Lori Lightfoot didn't win the bid for re-election.
David Brown.
Yes, quit immediately.
No parts of it.
Yeah,
That's pretty much the way he talked to.
Yeah, hands with the role. Mayor Brandon Johnson has chosen the next person to sit in the top cop seat, and his name is Larry Snelling. He is from CPD. He's been serving in CPD for 31 years. He currently heads Chicago Police Department's Counterterrorism Bureau. He is 54, very well respected by not only the Chicago Police Department, but also the Civilian Police Accountability Council, also known as CPAC. They call him a generational leader, capable of grappling with the tarnished legacy of the past while charting a path for the future. And he does have quite the path to chart.
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough job, but he considers it a tremendous honor. And what I didn't know was that Larry was inspired to be a police officer growing up in Chicago's Southwest Side in the Inglewood neighborhood. There was a police officer who was in the community who mentored him. And so I believe that on some level, like the goodness of what police officers are supposed to be kind of rests inside him somewhere. And so I'm hoping that he can inspire that goodness within the rest of the department.
So here's the other part about this, Khameron, is that the police union president also likes him.
Oh,
that is very rare.
I know.
It never happens.
He doesn't like anybody.
Yeah.
And so he has approved of this, and this is one of the three people recommended to the mayor by the committee, as you mentioned. And one of the three people that was recommended by the committee, that of which the young woman you had on just a couple of weeks ago was a part of, and telling us about this young man.
Yeah, I mean, according to Ramel and according to the Civilian Police Accountability Council, Larry's only had 2 disciplinary infractions throughout his entire career, and this was back in the 90s. One of them was really weird. Like he was associating with felons while off duty. Maybe he was just like saying hello.
Maybe they were just sources or something.
Maybe
or cousins.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like
could have been a family reunion. Yeah.
Right. And the other was an excessive force violation in the year 1991. So, but that's okay. It was.
Hey, look, if you roughed up one person as a cop in your whole entire career,
are you sure you're in this business?
like once, and that's being accused of it. Not even going all the way. You being accused of it. That's impressive.
Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, all things considered, he's got a pretty decent track record. He's got a lot to do as far as like the consent decree is concerned. And the consent decree was essentially like an audit of the Chicago Police Department implemented in 2019. That's supposed to implement training, reforms, a bunch of different stuff that apparently CPD has only applied like 5% of it so far. So he's got a lot of work to do.
So does the mayor. From what I understand, people are pleased with this selection, but not so much that that his administration has fired the head doctor for the city of Chicago. A lot of discussion about that, but we don't want to talk too much Chicago stuff because some people don't like that. But for us, for the three of us,
it's home. It
exactly. But we will spread the discussion about the various cities around, especially those that are helmed by Black folks. And I was really surprised and surprised that they went with this young man, Mr. Snelling. But it's looking good. It's looking very positive for Mayor Johnson.
I can say this, working with the Black Information Network and covering different cities around the around the country. It's because it feels like this happens around the same time in a lot of cities. Mm-hmm. So this is the same story that's going on in DC with their new top cop who was African American woman. It's just one of those things where you see it happen often. This is not just a Chicago thing where you see the turnover happen so much. We just talked to a mayor from Waterloo, Iowa, You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Who also is going
Is
through
this
these
the
things.
Nigerian guy?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and so we had a conversation with him this past week, and so it's and what they have to deal with, and we're talking about Waterloo, Iowa, which is of course
Right, right.
a smaller city, but the thing that he has to deal with being the mayor of that city in that state, it's always interesting to see what Black mayors and how they run their cities and how they handle the police in their cities, and it's always going to be a story regardless of what city you're in. It's always a difficult job to have, is that the chief of police of any city, especially with a Black mayor. It just makes it very difficult.
So Cameron had a great story. I don't know how long ago it was, Cameron, but the first Black woman to helm the New York City Police Department. She was brought in by Mayor Eric Adams, and so she submitted her resignation because he, as a former um, policeman. He had, I guess, Cameron had his way of thinking and doing things, and she wasn't given all the power that she should have been given as the
Micromanaging.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Mayor Eric
yeah,
Adams wanted her among the rank and file. And
yeah,
he also had appointed someone in some
yep.
new office of public safety that was kind of over her. And so
Yeah.
she was like, okay,
And
so
he
this is
had a
just
really
no
bad
place for her.
reputation too. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Mayor
yeah,
Adams basically wanted to be the chief of police and the mayor. That's what
right,
Mayor Adams wants
right.
to do, and it's just like that's not how we do things. You tell the chief of police how you want things done and what you want, what your goals are, and then you get out the way. Honestly, as a mayor, but when you're a former police officer and a high-ranking police officer, he just couldn't let that go, and that's always going to be an issue with him and the police department.
Right.
In the
Yeah,
city
especially
of New York.
NYPD. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, it's like he's always going to leave his new job to go back to his old stomping grounds and make sure things are done right. You just don't do that. You're the mayor of New York. You have a lot of things to deal with.
And if you're going to hire them, trust them to do the
It's
job
their job.
that
Right.
they've been assigned to, or asked to do. So,
Absolutely.
it'll be interesting to see how this works out with this particular mayor Johnson in Chicago. But I wish him a lot of good luck. Um, I'm a little I need a little extra incentive, a little help to stay wired today. I was up till about 1 o'clock this morning doing what you
Yeah.
didn't have to do
Yeah.
for talking to the folks at home because we needed to get the information on the late night indictment that was announced regarding the fourth indictment of the former president of the United States and 18 other people in his party, a party of 19 being indicted right over here to your right.
Heating the
Um,
shields.
and just follow the district attorney there. She'll tell you what you need to know. And not only were there 18 people, 41 count indictment, but this DA, Bonnie Willis, is a Black woman who has made a reputation for bringing in cases and using the RICO Act, which is the
Yeah.
Racketeering Act, right?
Yeah.
And so she used this, and normally this is what we hear from mobsters and gangsters and
Mm-hmm.
and corruption in that way. But she has managed to weave a tale with a really impressive looking group of people on her staff to bring these people in and well, not to bring in them but to announce the the indictments. They must appear by August
10 days.
25th,
10
right?
days. Yeah.
And if not sooner. And the Trump people are not happy
Of course
because
not.
for a state felony, there have to be pictures taken. He's got to have his mugshot taken.
Well, actually, can I be honest with you?
Uh
I hope they don't take his mugshot.
huh.
No, can you imagine the memorabilia that's going to be made
Oh yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
yeah.
That's just money
from
in
the
their
MAGA
pocket.
folks? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
I've been actually happy every single time his mugshot doesn't get taken
right.
because I already know what's going to happen with that mugshot. It's going to be plastered.
Oh,
They're going
man,
to wear
yeah.
it. It's
Oh,
going to
Oh
be on
yeah,
yes.
rallies.
and
It's going to be on flags.
with
It's going to
pride.
be,
Yep.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, because
In
he's very
Donald
right.
we trust. Yeah.
Oh,
Man,
yeah.
look, and the way that they're rallying behind him is so just weird. Like he's the man of the people. I mean, he could care less about y'all. Okay,
Yeah,
right.
You've seen all the people that he's dropped in front of him as human shields to take these hits for him, and the reason why this stuff is happening now to him is because enough people have seen, oh, he ain't got our backs. You know what I'm saying? And so they're now going in and talking about him.
And so that's why they're bringing so many people in, Med, because they really think that they can, and it's like 19 people, including Donald Trump, as I said, and they believe that one by one, they're going to be making deals with the DA in order not to have to appear in court. And making a deal means you got to sing, and you got to tell the truth about this guy, and including Rudy Giuliani. Who's 80 something years old now, right? He can't do 5 years. He just can't.
Not at all.
What will they do for a hair product? And here's the thing: these are lawyers. These are people who know the law, and yet they have bent the law to the will of Donald Trump, and now they're paying the price for it. His lawyer, John Eastman, his lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and former congressman, he knows the law too. They were all indicted, and looking at these people, the higher they are, the more unlikely they are to say, nope, I'm standing here. I'm here with my man, Donald.
No. That's a wrap. Over the last 3 years, you've just seen like the amount of people that have kind of turned on him because you're seeing everybody else but him go to jail. Right. And you haven't really seen him save anybody. No. So it's like it's not even worth saving because now they have to hope he gets elected so so he might pardon them.
Not for state charges.
You can't pardon state charges. So so they're gonna sing like a bird. Now, do I think I'm very I'm very skeptic when it comes to all these, I'm not about moral victories of him being indicted. I could care less that he's been indicted 4 times. Unless he's going to jail, this means nothing. If he gets elected as president during this whole thing, this really doesn't mean anything to me. We have to wait 4 years for him to go to jail. Is that how that works? It's like he still runs the country the way he wants to run it, so he can set himself up.
The cell? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't know how that works. So my thing is, unless Donald Trump is going to be in jail before he gets before they can cast a ballot, I just don't know. The thing about this, and the reason why everyone on the side is scared about this, is because this is happening in Fulton County, in the most liberal part of Georgia. So he's not going to have any friends.
And that's why. And this is the last thing I'm going to add to this. Mark Meadows today is filing for a change of venue.
They all are.
Oh, of course.
Well, he started it. I mean, they all are, but definitely because they understand that being in Fulton County trial is not the place.
Not
even for the Black woman who was indicted. Not even for the sister that was indicted.
You got Young Thug in jail. What are you talking
about? I know, right?
You're not safe.
We are way over time. Let's move to, and we'll talk about this in just a little bit. Let's move to our question of the day. What's really going on? And this is this just came to me. I had another question, and this is from the marriage front, wanting to know from people, what if your best just ain't good enough? So that could be any relationship, but this has to do with couples especially, and this is why I'm single, because if my best ain't good enough, sorry, this is where the guy in me comes out. I'm like, okay, well, sorry.
Have a nice day. Keep it moving.
If you're here when I get back, okay, but if not,
right? Yeah.
But Khameron, have you ever been presented with that situation in a relationship that, you're not living up to it, you're not doing this and you're not doing that, and you say, well, damn it, I'm doing the best I can, and what if it's not good enough? What do you do?
I always fall into the hole of like expecting what I give out of someone else. I always fall into the hole of like putting my moral compass and my moral code onto other people. And that paints the way to disappointment like every single time. So I've been trying to just keep people's expectations where they're at and like let them show themselves over time. So I can try to avoid that trap. But if someone told me that my best isn't good enough, well, then I would say I would try better next time, dear. That's exactly what I would say.
Sorry. Give me another chance. Um, I think in order to maintain, happiness in the house, that's a perfect way to look at it. Like I said, this is why I'm single, because if it's not, sorry. But Med, you
Yeah.
are the married person in the
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
Damon is not with us today.
Yes, he's
So
not.
so tell us, what if your best ain't good enough?
Well, I've been presented with this several times in my marriage. And whenever I'm presented with that, you have to take first, you have to look at it. Is it your best?
Right.
Is it your actual best? And you can
Because
be giving,
there have been times where you done better.
I've done better. I can do better. You know what I'm saying? And this is all aspect of life.
Right.
Work, any kind of relationship you have with anybody. Did I actually do my best? Did I actually give the best effort in this situation? And I think for a lot of us, especially as men, when you're looking at what your spouse may be saying to you, you don't want to hear it. I'm very guilty of being annoyed about hearing the truth about myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's like, it's like, you're right, but shut up, please. That's like what's running in your head. It's just like,
right.
Yes, you're right. Just be quiet. I hear you. Be quiet. But the thing is, at the end of the day, you have to take that self, that self, and look at yourself from their eyes,
right.
which is very hard for people to do. It's to have that point of view from somebody else's point of view and look at yourself and say, are you doing your best? Are you doing what's right? And can you do better? And if you can do better, you explain to your spouse and to the other person of, I've learned, I've also learned being married, saying, no, I got you. Okay, no problem. It's not an answer. It's not an answer at all.
I've gotten that from you. I understand. And I look, really? What is that?
Yeah, no, got it. Not a problem. I'm like, the house is on fire. Not a problem. Got it. That's me all day. No problem. I got it. I'll figure it out. So, I'm that guy that'll do that, but that doesn't work. So I literally have to explain to my wife where her point of view is coming from. Mm-hmm. Why is she saying what she's saying, and explain how I could probably I can do better.
Straight out of the therapy book.
Absolutely.
What
therapy is helping.
Tell her what you hear her saying.
Yeah. You have to. Yeah, you absolutely have to, because saying I got it does not mean anything to them. You have to literally repeat to them what you want. And to go to what Khameron was saying about expectations, I think that's where my biggest issue is, because I have no expectation of anybody. My expectation, and I've learned, and my expectation of you is what you present to me. Mm-hmm. So I don't have an expectation of this is what I expect from you to do for me. If I'm around you long enough, I base my expectation of you based on what I've seen of you, of what I've seen you do, and I'm like, all right, this is my expectation of you. It ain't that high, you know what I'm saying? But so you can't disappoint me, because I know this is where you at. If you do better than that, hey, God bless you. But I'm always on you, right? Your expectations will always be here, and if you disappoint me and you're already low, I'm probably gonna kick you out of my life. So like I tell my wife, I'm like, I really don't. I never had. It's like she's like, well, what were your expectations of me? I'm like, there were none. I didn't have expectations for a wife. I was gonna see what you did, and then I'm gonna base off of that. Okay, that's my baseline, and that's where my expectation is gonna be for you. So, and that's how I've always been. You can't disappoint me, because I see where my baseline is, and now you can't really disappoint me. And maybe it's a problem. That's probably something I gotta bring up to my therapist. But it's a way for me not to get disappointed in other people, is to see what what baseline they give me, and then base it off of that, because most people don't go below their own baseline.
That's really interesting. TYO Dimples, can you give us that? She agrees with Khameron, said that was a really good answer that Khameron gave, and I think people will agree with you too, Matt. I think it's really interesting in regards to expectations, because I think women have more expectations from men than men do have from women.
Say it again. I think I got you, but I just want to make sure I'm with you.
I think women have
higher expectations of men, and men have of women.
And men have of women.
Yes, yes, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. I think we have different expectations as well. I saw this recently with I think it was Kev on stage and his wife. They were talking about it. They were like, they have women. I think Marvin Sapp was part of the conversation as well. He was like that, men have don't have expectations of women like that. Blah blah blah. Women have this have the list. When Kevin's wife Melissa said, she's like, no, men have different expectations from women, and they have their list. It's just a different list. They're different. Their list might be how you look, can you cook, can you do this, can you do that? You know what I'm saying? So it's a different list, but you still have expectations of your spouse, whether it's men or women.
Yeah. And a lot of those expectations, I know dads now of daughters are saying, I'm going to leave your expectations up here because that's what you should be looking for when you pick a mate. I want them to be able to, I'm going to make it real tough for them because I want you to have the best and to have your expectations met.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
C.M. Williams on Facebook says, if a guy has plenty of money, a woman will never ask that question. That's not true. I don't believe that.
It's a theory that we will, as men, will think.
You put enough money on it, you can stop all the bitching and moaning. But that's
it's a band-aid. It's a band-aid. You can slow it down. You throw enough money at it, you can.
But you won't make it heal. It
absolutely
will not heal.
Oh yeah, right.
Because the Band-Aid will keep getting pulled off.
The drip's gonna keep coming, and then it's in a bust, and then and then you now have to deal with not only the new problem, but the old problems that she bandaged before that you paid her off.
Yeah, that she brought. For a minute. She wasn't showing you the bandage hand and the arm and all the other sore
and
spots.
all the scars.
Yep.
Before, so money could stop it for a little bit, but it ain't gonna stay there.
Janet Ferguson said, I gave my best, my everything, and everything else after that, and it wasn't enough. So I left. The best decision I ever made. She said that on Facebook. The best decision. That sounds like something my mother would say after 3 or 4 marriages. But I think that, in that regard, especially if I'm told it's not, I'm like, sorry, this is it. And just have to keep it moving.
I think also when you're dating, the changes too. If you're dating somebody and they bring that to you, you're like, okay, we can move on. You know what I'm saying? But like when you're married, it's like, all right, let me see what I can do. If I can do better at this.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's different. That is different.
It's different. It's different circumstances when you're married, but when you dating and somebody said that, it's like, okay, all right, cool. You have a great day.
Right. Have a nice life.
Right. Ain't no bills being paid over here. What? Come on.
Cameron, has anyone come to you as a man with in a dating relationship? Have you had that? Right. And you're like, just say, you're nice. You're a nice lady, but no.
I can recall one moment where like a partner of mine was saying that I wasn't being like vulnerable enough, that like she would readily disclose like all it was that she had been through, and like she had to trauma bond with her in that way. But I keep like the best secrets for myself, and I have to be comfortable enough in knowing that what I say is gonna like stay here.
Yeah. The circle of trust.
Right. And like, I don't define myself by, just like the terrible things that have happened to me in my life, and some things I'm like are worth sharing. And that really hurt her, that I wouldn't swap a story for a story. I'm just like, ooh.
That's a different kind of trust, man. And I don't think people understand the difficulty of sharing the deep dark, and the reason that is, and why I said there's such a trust issue with that is I've had people use that against me.
Yeah,
where all of a sudden they bring an argument, they bring that up. You're like, wow,
where did that come from? Yeah,
you using that?
Right. So, I thought we had
right. No, we had no. So it's like, because some people don't know how to fight. Some people don't know how to disagree.
Yeah.
And when you see that, it makes it very difficult to have those kind of conversations with them, to be open with them. And like one of my main issues is that I'll just shut down. Oh no, my wife and she fights through this all the time. You win. I will go to you win quick. I don't like arguing. I don't like arguing. I don't like fighting. I don't like none of that. So I'm like, once like I've made my point and I feel like my point has been made and you still want to continue on, I'm like, you win.
Take a look at the mirror. Y'all have this out. I'm out.
I'm out. And so that's something I have to work on myself as well.
As we wrap this up, Yolanda, do we have any other comments you want to share with us? And then we will wrap. I love the discussion. I absolutely love it. Okay, I guess not. Khameron, do you have a final word, or Med? We got about a minute.
It's okay to disagree. It is okay to grow.
And I've had breakups. I'll just say this. It is okay to disagree. And I've had breakups because, like you, maybe, I don't share that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and he thought he was like really giving me, I'm opening up to you, and he was almost close to the tears, and I was like, whoa, no tears, no.
No, you can't do that to Sybil Wilkes.
No.
Sybil Wilkes will be crazy.
You get two good cries, and one of them better be about your mama.
And somebody better have died.
And the other one, and if it's the same person and the same, then okay, you may get an extra.
I got you, but I'll just say self-evaluate. In whatever relationship you're in, even if you disagree with them and you kick them to the curb, self-evaluate. Just make sure they weren't really onto something. You know what I'm saying? Because it's harder. It's hard to be the mirror for yourself sometimes. Sometimes you need the reflection from somebody else, and so just self-evaluate.
Yeah. Let's move to trending. Thank you so much for sharing yourselves, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Let's talk about what's going on. Student loans still in the picture, and every day talking with young people and knowing how difficult this is for a lot of people. Now that we're coming to the end of the deferment process, more than 800,000 student loan borrowers are getting billions of dollars in debt forgiveness this week. The one-time account adjustment comes after the Biden administration last month announced it would forgive student loans for 804,000 borrowers with a combined $39 billion in federal student loan debt. These borrowers were in income-driven repayment plans, or IDRs, for more than 20 years and never got the credit they earned. This is crazy. According to the White House, hundreds of thousands of borrowers were not accurately getting credit for student loan payments that should have delivered them forgiveness under the income-driven repayment plans. They will start to see the student loan canceled this week. Oh, if you or someone you know has been a part of this and has seen their student loan debt forgiven, please let us know and let us know
know what that's like.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, me and Navient have been going back and forth. I've told him that Biden had my back, and the longer I've been doing that, the more I realize he don't. And I'm just like, I gotta pay y'all the rest of this money. I really gotta, because I talked to Miguel. And
Miguel talked to you.
We had the conversation. Secretary,
Cardona,
MC SecEd, man, look here now. Like, should I pay my student? He's like, just hold off. I'm like, y'all got me.
Okay.
Yeah, I can have another conversation with MC SecEd, and I need to have another conversation with him.
I know.
They
said to look for an email from your loan servicing company, which began alerting people about the debt forgiveness this week. The Biden administration has targeted borrowers enrolled in the IDR plans for forgiveness because of historical failures in the system. Now, they say that this plan works by calculating monthly repayment sums based on the borrower's income. That payment can be as low as $0 a month for borrowers who do not earn an income. So for those of us in radio, that really means a lot because we're really close to zero for the most part.
Yeah.
This is not good news, and I was thinking about this when I was wearing my mask today, and people still giving me the look. I went into to ask where my former car was, and everybody's looking at me because I was wearing a mask, and then I'm like, yeah, I know how nice and shiny and clean your place looks, but it's still out here. And here's the proof: COVID hospitalizations accelerated for a fourth straight week. The new COVID-19 hospitalizations have accelerated, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the numbers are over 10,000 patients in the U.S. were newly hospitalized with COVID-19 for the week ending August 5th. That's according to the figures published this week, an increase of over 14% from the week before. The levels remain far below the summer peak that strained hospitals at this time last year. there were 42,000 admissions. So yeah, that's a big jump down. A big drop there. Hospitals across the Southeast are continuing to report the nation's highest rate of COVID-19 admissions in the region spanning Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. New patients were reported 404 and a half new patients were reported per 100,000 residents. That doesn't sound like a lot. The number of cases are up for seniors as who are 75 and older, as well as children who are 11 and younger. And they say that be very careful, especially as kids are going back to school. And I think we talked about this last week, man.
We did.
As far as how do you prepare your children when a lot of pressure? Maybe it'll take your mask off. We don't have to worry about that anymore.
Well, there's no mask at my son's school. There wasn't any mask last year in the school, and that's why when you were talking about the Southeast being the highest, I'm like, yeah. Because all like the Southeast, most of the Southeast, all the kids went back to school at the beginning of the month. And my son went back to school the first day of August. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. And it's going to be high around this time of year. And like I just remember my son's first day of school going back to school. And like I told you before, that's when we got COVID. His very first day of going to school, he got COVID, and then we got COVID, and it was just a mess. So that was 3 years ago, and now he's in third grade, and all the kids that were wearing masks every day and don't take your mask off. Now all the kids are going to school now with no masks. I may see one kid out of the rest that's wearing their mask, and it's just the way it is right now. COVID ain't going anywhere. I don't expect it.
And
to go
new strains of it are coming as well.
It's still coming out, and it's still gonna be like that. But I think that, again, like I said last week, the fear is not there anymore. The fear of death is not there anymore, because everyone was worried about dying, people just dropping dead from COVID. That fear is not there anymore. We're gonna get sick. We'll take a week off from school or work or whatever like that, and then we continue on with our lives. Please believe me, there's people that know that they have COVID that are walking around with no mask on, and living their life. Before you probably wouldn't get that. Now people have COVID and keep it moving. So that's where we are right now when it comes to COVID, in my opinion. Unless something happens where you're seeing people die, nothing's going to change right now.
Are you guys going to get the new booster?
Oh,
no.
Yeah,
I'm
boosters like really took me out. So
I got the shot, I got the jab, and that's because I was making a trip to LA. And let me say this again, Sybil, and I think you understand me when I say this, being in the state that we live in. We lived in a whole different world during COVID.
Right.
I didn't realize what it was like in other cities and states during the pandemic. I really didn't feel like I missed much of anything. I went to California for less than a week. I'm like, oh no. I was like, this is how y'all living?
Right.
Like, this is crazy. I can't do it. So it was, as much as we harp on it, I was very thankful to be where I was during the pandemic, because it wasn't open, but it was open.
It was open.
It wasn't Florida open.
Right. Nothing is Florida level.
Nothing is Florida open. The pandemic didn't touch Florida, but for like Georgia to be able to move around a little bit, I just didn't realize how tight it was everywhere else.
Right. Yeah. And Texas is a whole different thing than Chicago, and it's what about in higher education, Khameron? Are you finding that people are still masking up, or how are the youngins?
No, students are moving in, and we've also got just like a bunch of international students coming in as well. And I don't see a lot of masking going on campus, which has me a little bit worried for like flu season and stuff like that. So
a flu shot?
Perhaps.
Okay.
I never took those kind of shots though, ever. I never. I
didn't until recently. Right. I'm kind of glad I did.
And then after I took it, like Khameron said, that thing took me out. I'm like, I'm good on that.
The booster I took, it didn't sit well with me. But a few hours, and I had a reaction, and then I was done. I was good.
No, mine was a couple
I didn't
days.
have all of that. Yeah.
Oof, God.
So remember the 6-year-old that shot the teacher in the Virginia classroom at the
Yep.
beginning of the year? The
Yeah.
mother was in court, and she has pleaded guilty to the Virginia charge stemming from the shooting. Her name is Deja Taylor. She pleaded guilty to felony child neglect in a Newport News courtroom. 26-year-old mother was charged in April with child neglect and recklessly leaving a loaded firearm so as to endanger a child, a misdemeanor, but they dropped the misdemeanor in a plea agreement. Her sentencing is scheduled for late October, according to the court records. The prosecutor said they won't seek a sentence greater than what the sentencing guidelines call for, which would be 6 months in jail or prison. That's a hard way to learn your lesson.
The
And she
mother.
has, yeah,
The mother.
for the mom, yeah.
I hate that it's happening to her. I absolutely hate that it's happening to her. Because it's a 6-year-old, but because it's a 6-year-old, they should know what he should not have access to the gun.
Well,
But
and that's the thing, because this was a special needs child, and on top of having
I
this,
did not know that.
Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't know that either.
Really?
yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. That's why his parents had to be in school with him every day, because of, I guess, for acting out and things. And that one day they did not come to school was the day that he brought the gun to school.
I say that I feel bad for her, but I actually believe that is a way to help with the gun violence.
Yeah.
I believe that because you can't really change these gun laws. Because like I said, everybody that's gotten these guns usually have them legally. But I believe that if it's not the owner of the gun, like who it belongs, like who's licensed to, that the owner of the gun and is not claimed as stolen, the owner of the gun needs to have responsibility to the
Right.
violence as well. I believe that if guns are stolen, and not reported in like on transit somewhere, I believe this happens in Chicago. The legal guns that are flooded in the city of in Chicago and other cities like it are stolen guns that are coming off the tracks or whatever. I believe that the companies, if they don't report it stolen, should be held responsible for the deaths as well. I believe if you want to curtail some of the violence, you start making people responsible who ain't shooting nobody. That starts at least putting a paper trail on these guns that people for some reason don't want to have a paper trail to. It seems like Republicans don't want to have paper trail for guns. They just want guns to be out there.
Yeah.
Like we had ghost guns. It's like, no, we don't want to, have paper trail.
Why
do you want to have a paper trail for a ghost gun? It's like, it doesn't make sense to me because they feel like we're going to come and steal their guns or whatever. I'm like, no, we need to have, people held responsible for these things when their name are on the gun. We have to have them be held responsible because if you're held responsible, guess what? You're most likely going to, take care of it a little bit better.
Yeah. This mother said she doesn't know how her son got a hold of it, but eventually he told the story in which he took the gun and pulled his gun out of his jacket pocket and shot the teacher, Abby Zwerner. And when she asked what he was doing, he fired a shot. She was hit in the left hand and upper torso, and she's still suffering from this and has filed a lawsuit against the school district as well. And among other things, this is really disturbing. When the teacher ushered the other children out of the room and was shot, another teacher came in to stand with the little boy and asked the kid, what happened? He said, "I shot the bee." 6.
I need you to understand something. My son is 8. Okay, I remember when he was 6. I remember his size when he was 6.
Right.
To think about that, my son could take a gun, and I've shot a gun. I've shot a gun recently. I've shot a gun recently in a shooting at a gun range. You know how much? You know how it is not easy to shoot a gun for a 6-year-old to get a gun, be comfortable enough to hide the gun,
right?
Bring it into school, take it out of his jacket pocket, and shoot the teacher. That's a lot, and his little butt didn't go flying back.
Right.
From the
blowback
from the gun.
Yeah.
We're talking about a 6-year-old. That thing is crazy to me. It's absolutely nuts. The whole story from the day I reported it like months ago. It's been a crazy story.
That's why I'm like very much a humanist with regards to gun violence. Like I'm more concerned with just like solving what drives people to disregard a human life.
There's so much. This is such a case, Khameron. This would be a real case for you to investigate, because there's the issue of what's going on at the home, as well as with this child, and what his special needs are, that a parent would need to be in the classroom with him every day, right? And why she would have this gun. And she said that she thought that the gun was in her purse. And originally told people, told the officials that she thought the gun was in a locked box in her closet. She said she normally stored the gun in her purse with a trigger lock in place, or a lockbox. And the boy found the gun in his mother's purse, which was on top of a stack of something, and took it
that
to
6-year-old
school.
knows exactly where she keeps the gun.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, they watch us. These kids watch our
And the
every
words
move.
that they use, the actions that they,
Everything.
yeah,
Right.
everything. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Listen, and they hear and they know everything. I swear, him saying what he said, he's heard that before. He knew exactly how to use it. Yes. Yes. I mean, it is like, now knowing that he had special needs, now I know why she was. I was like, man, they really trying to put her in jail for this. But now you see,
as this all comes forward, absolutely.
Like, you're not gonna put him in jail. Someone got to be held responsible for it. It's the mother. Absolutely.
Right. I don't know if this clarifies or calls for an entertainment moment, but this has to do with an entertainment product. And this is something that is kind of taking on a whole life of its own. And this is the family involved in The Blind Side. This is the movie, we talked about it, in which the young man who was pictured in the movie, Michael Orr, about his being adopted by a white family in Mississippi, and his going on to college football, and then being selected by the Baltimore Ravens, I think. So now he's filed a suit in court, and the family is calling BS on his filing now. He said, father said that Sean Tui is his name. He said, I just know that I love him as much at 37 as I did at 16. But they are also saying that he is shaking the family down, and it's not the first time that he has done it. He attempted a $15 million shakedown, according to the family attorney, before taking their name and spreading it all over in the court documents and in media. So this is the father who said that Michael Orr's allegations are insulting, that his adoption was fake for money. Sean Tui, it's upsetting to think we will make money off of our children, but we're going to love him at 37, just as we loved him at 16. And of course, The Blind Side, as I said, has to do with this kid that they found living on the streets, and the son kind of brought him home, and he thought, and in the story, he was adopted. He says now he discovered that it was conservatorship, and that they would have control over his money. He said he got nothing from The Blind Side. They say that's a lie. The money was split 5 ways, and that was the mother, father, their 2 children, and Michael.
Well, they said I saw breaking news about this right before we went on, Sybil. They're talking about they put in a trust or something, and I'm like, well, maybe he hadn't gotten this trust, because I think with this story, it was so weird, because I felt kind of bad, because at 18 years old, he didn't know what he was signing or what he was doing.
Right.
But I had a conversation with some friends of mine, and we kind of said, a friend of mine said, like, I'm not acting like he hasn't figured it out before this.
This is kind of weird.
Because conservative, the whole Britney Spears thing, he should have picked up on something over the last few years, and he didn't like how he was depicted in the movie either. So he had an issue.
That's a whole nother matter, right?
He had an issue with the movie, and then recently, I have a hard time believing that he didn't have an idea of what was going on with the money and everything like that, because they got this money when he got drafted. So he was making good money. Yeah. So he probably wasn't even paying attention. He's been out the league for a little while. And in my mind, I'm like, funds are low.
Right. Yeah. You're retired now, and need you to put a little something in the pot. Yeah. So the movie made $300 million globally, and he says that the Tuohys and the siblings earned $225,000 each. as well as 2.5% of the film's defined net proceeds. He says he received no compensation and would not have existed, and the movie would not have existed without him. So he told the Daily Memphian, Sean Toohey said the allegations that they exploited him, describing the claims as insulting. But here's the thing. He said they needed to get him health insurance, to get a driver's license, and to get straight in order to go to the University of Mississippi. So
Okay.
what would a conservatorship do that?
So this is what I'm thinking. And again, this is what we talked about, me and my friends. So we're into the whole thing. This is this is when it comes to college football, and back then there was no NIL and things like that. So if somebody, because recently Penny Hardaway, helped a young man, that played on his team, and he got in trouble for it.
Right.
So this is a way to get around, skirt those issues, bring him in, adopt him, conservatorship, however you want to put it.
Right.
Now they get him because they might be boosters or connected to the University of Mississippi, and they send him straight to the school.
Yeah.
And this is a way to do that without anybody getting their hands dirty. That is something that we kicked around. It's something I'm not saying this is the way it is, but that's the way for them of why they would do it the way they did it.
I know people did that.
Because here's the thing: a conservatorship. If they had this conservatorship, that means they could have been making money off of him for his entire career.
Right.
They have control over his name and image and likeness.
And he's 37 now, 20 years later. Yeah.
They still have it. So I'm like, if they still have it, then they could have been making deals based, on his behalf for years, but I guess they haven't. So there's a lot of things that go into this. There's a lot of things that go into this.
So here's the latest thing to go into it, because we got to wrap. People are calling for Sandra Bullock, who played the mother, to return her Oscar. She said, I'm really sorry that this has happened, and whatever. And so, well, you should just return the Oscar that you won for Best Actress.
Absolutely
yeah,
not.
She's not.
And one person said, yeah, you give it back. You give it to Gabourey Sidibe, because she should have won it for Precious.
I just say she go ahead and replay the role for a sequel. Blindsided. Blindsided.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Tip your waiters and waitresses. The mind of Med is with us. Absolutely. We can't close out before we do the jewel. Being open is not about accepting anything. It's about allowing your mind to consider the possibilities.
Come on now.
Be open and consider the possibilities. All right.
Let's go, Yogi.
Take that jewel and use it, will you? Thanks, guys. I've enjoyed the conversation and the pleasure of your company. And let's do it again, shall we?
Pleasure's all mine.
Next week.
Let's do it again.